Okay. Alright, I just woke up, as you can probably hear and see. But I was doing some reading, and something sort of came to me to where I finally feel like I can speak to a certain issue that has bothered me for a long time, but I might have something to actually say about it, which could be helpful now. And it is the idea of producing fruit and how biblically and how that affects men, specifically men. I am a man, so I think more about that. And what's going on in the country of the United States right now, too. All over the place. And this has always happened because sin is sin. But in my experience, what's going on in the United States. So, I'm going to try to talk about this without rambling too much. I don't know if I necessarily have the words for it right now, but I'm going to do my best. So, why is it that men will give their wife whatever they want, say yes to every request, to their destruction? To the destruction of the wife, to the destruction of the husband, to the destruction of the society that we live in, to our connection with God. And when it comes to giving the men giving women anything they ask for, right? Whether it's good for them or not. This is something that has always bothered me. And hopefully I'm not the only one, but it's like seeing, okay, I have a father and his daughter wants to do OnlyFans or something that really degrades her. And he just sort of is like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever you want, whatever, because the society will be mad at me if I say no to that. And thank God, I think most dads would still say no to that. I could be wrong, but there are too many men that have an attitude like that, or their girlfriend even, which, you're not married at that point, but if you're thinking about getting married to a person, not that that's what all dating relationships or even most dating relationships are now, and not necessarily working towards marriage because they're not following God, they're not listening to God. And that's another problem too. But for me, I think about it and I'm like, I couldn't imagine being okay with that, ever being okay with that. That would destroy my heart. It would crush my soul. Like, how could I ever be okay with the person that I'm supposed to be? Either I'm married to them and that's my person, or we're getting closer to that than anybody else are, and than I am with anybody else in my life. And they're just, first of all, destroying themselves, but also I'm sharing them with everyone in a way that only like only one person should have access to anybody in that way. No way, absolutely not. I'd rather be single for the rest of my life and die that way. Like that sounds awful to me. But people do it. People do it, and I know this because I lived in Seattle for 4 years, and you see it. You talk to the guys, and you can tell that they're dead inside. These guys participating in polyamorous relationships, or their girlfriend has an OnlyFans, or what have you, or they're just extremely selfish, narcissistic men who don't care because they don't care about the women. They're just using each other, and that's the fact. That's the fact of the matter. I've spoken to these people. I've been around them, and that's how it goes. They don't love each other. By definition, if you split your love across multiple people, that type of love. I know love in the English language is not a very good word because it encompasses multiple ideas and it's based on context of what you're talking about. That we try to figure out what somebody means when they say the word love. In Greek they have multiple words that mean different types of love, and they're more specific about it. English is not as to the point. But hopefully you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about romantic love, and then sexual interaction with multiple different people, and you should never dilute that. It's a big problem in the United States right now, is that it's diluted, it's destroyed, and I think at the root of it, it's because we have this idea of men just saying yes to things they shouldn't be saying yes to in order to please somebody else. So anyways, that was a little bit long-winded, but I just wanted to share that because I have personal experience in that area, and if anybody happens to see this who is thinking, oh well, it's my right as a woman, or who am I to tell a woman? No, man, that's not the case. From someone who has personal experience of talking to and being around these people and seeing it played out, it's in the Bible, and that should be enough. But I understand that not everybody, that's not enough for them. So I'm going to add my vote to it. I'm just saying, I've seen it for myself. It's personal experience. Yeah, okay. Went back on the ramble. Getting back off of it now, back to the subject that I started with. So it's this idea of bearing fruit. So what I'm going to tell you is that I believe that in every man on the earth, there is a desire to bear fruit, which means to produce, to give for their tree that they are, to produce something that other people can come along and take it and say, this was useful to me, this was good to me. Other people. Or we'll talk about it. And every destructive tendency, every sin, every bad thing comes from the devil coming along basically at some point, or one of his servants, or what have you. That's a semantic thing, whether you think it's the devil himself or not. The point is, it's the spirit, which is the idea and the intention propagated down through others throughout time. And it's that spirit of evil that comes along and takes a good thing in you as a human being that was designed by God for a specific purpose, to fit into a specific place. Ultimately, it was meant to be used for God. And he comes along and says, here, this thing, this is for this other purpose. Anything evil comes from that right there. And if anybody doesn't understand that, or they think that doesn't make sense, then we can 100% talk about it. I'll sit here and talk about this with you. I know that if you never heard that before, that might not make any sense. It might sound stupid or reductive, but it's not. It's more like a simple, shortened statement that we could definitely talk way more about. It's not to be reductive. But yeah, we can have that conversation. Hit me up on the comments or whatever. So what ideas have I presented so far? So what do we have? We have this idea that men want to bear fruit. We have this idea that sin and bad and evil come from uh, the spirit of evil twisting our desire to do a certain thing, which was put into us by God because the human machine works a certain way. And that's how it was designed to work. And, you have women that are designed to want to receive fruit, receive good things, right? So that gets twisted too. And they get told by society and what have you, the spirit of evil, that like, oh, this is your right. You can just do it. You can just put your body out there for other people to see. And it doesn't matter. And you should just degrade yourself and devalue yourself and make yourself available to everyone for the price of $15 for an OnlyFans or whatever it is. And somehow tells them that that's empowering. Doesn't sound empowering to me, but that's what they're told. So then they go to whatever men are in their life and they say, if you don't let me do that, you're a bad man because you're not giving me. And some part of me knows every good lie is based on the truth, right? Some part of me knows that you're supposed to be giving me stuff and I'm supposed to be receiving stuff. So why are you withholding my rights from me? Pretty convincing lie because it's based on the truth, right? So here's the deal. You're right, women. You are designed to receive good things from men. Good things, right? Not evil. Good and not harm. That is harm. So if you're receiving that from men, they're not working for you good. That's the truth. Okay, but this is supposed to be for the men. So so you can interpret that, men, and hear, okay, so if I do that, I'm giving evil and destruction to women. Oh, shoot. That doesn't feel so good. But why is it, so what do I do? Right? How am I supposed to deal with the fact that I hate disappointing people, I hate saying no and not giving things, I hate feeling like the bad guy. I hate it too. If you like doing that, you either have a really mature understanding of what's right, good for you, or you're a jerk. And you just like being a jerk, and that's how it is. But all men who have that understanding that something inside of them wants to give and don't have a good grounding in the truth, they'll get tricked by this. Okay, so before I give you the resolution, let me give you what I was reading, which backs up this idea of people producing fruit, biblically. So, okay. Which one was it? This is Matthew 13. There's a lot of good parables in here. But the one I was reading that made me sort of think of this was, I think it was right here. Hold fast. Stand by. I got so sucked into what I was saying, I forgot which verse I was going to read. I mean, all of these, okay, we'll see if we can make this connect. So I'll read this one. Verse 24. The parable of the weeds. Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field, but while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed heads, then the weeds also appeared. So in other words, when the wheat became fruitful, it formed heads, the things that you actually eat, the things it's good for, the things it produces. The reason that it was planted, right, is for that fruit. Okay. Then the weeds also appeared. The owner's servants came to him and said, "Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did the weeds come from?" "An enemy did this," he replied. The servants asked him, "Do you want us to go and pull them up?" "No," he answered, "because while you are pulling the weeds, you may root up the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn." So what does that mean? I don't have to explain to you, because Jesus explains what this one means. Over in verse 36. I had dry mouth. Need some water. Okay. Need some water. Gotta hydrate. Okay. Then he left the crowd and went into the house. His disciples came to him and said, "Explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field." He answered, "The one who sows good seeds is the Son of Man, God. The field is the world, and the good seed stands for the sons of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the evil one." I'm going to pause for a second, and I'm going to explain something that we can maybe talk about later. Sons, the word son, it does mean to a man to produce a child with a woman. But when the Bible uses the word son, sons and daughters, but sons specifically, it's talking about a spirit that is made manifest into the body of a human being. So think on that one. Okay, it's important to remember because Jesus says the Son of God, but he is God. I and the Father are one, he says. The Spirit of the Father is made manifest in the flesh of a human being. It's him in a human body. It doesn't mean that he had a wife and that he produced another version of God. He is God himself. So that's what it means when it says sons. So when it says the Son, that's what Jesus called the Son of Man, because he was produced by humans, but he's also called the Son of God because he was the Spirit of God made manifest in a human body. And it says, where is it? The sons of the kingdom and the sons of the evil one, right? So it doesn't mean that the devil is having kids, and it doesn't mean, right? How can you be a son of the kingdom if that's the word son means? It means that what spirit is acting through them, what spirit is coming and working and taking root in them. Taking root is a good analogy because in the same chapter, by the way, at the beginning it talks about the parable of the seeds. That's a really good one too. It talks about the seed, the kingdom of God taking root. But what spirit is made manifest through them. So that's what the word son means. That's just an important thing to remember because they use that word a lot in the Bible. We are called sons and daughters of God, the children of God. Children, same deal. The weeds are the sons of the evil one, and the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the harvesters are angels. As the weeds are pulled up and burned in the fire, so will it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. They will throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun, S-U-N, in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears, let him hear. Okay. So, we have a couple ideas in that. We have the idea that not every spirit that is sent out to affect the hearts and the minds of men is good, right? Some of them produce weeds, and some of them produce fruit. And they are all going to grow up together until the end when they get separated. And the good fruit is then taken by God for what it is. Okay, let's see. I have a couple of other verses here real quick that sort of back this up too. Matthew 3:10, another Matthew verse. Even now the axe is laid to the root of the trees. Every tree, therefore, that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Matthew 7:16. You will recognize them by their fruits, them being the followers of God. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Do bad roots produce good fruit? Matthew 12:33. Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad, for the tree is known by its fruit. You brood of vipers, how can you speak good when you are evil? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. I believe he's speaking to the Pharisees there. He calls them a brood of vipers. Genesis, the original command. God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth. And he said the same. That one is from the creation of animals, I think. And he says the same thing about humans. He tells them to be fruitful and multiply. So from the beginning, we have this idea that men were created to bear fruit. Right? That is our whole purpose. So it's no wonder it's getting taken and twisted for the wrong reasons. Man, I feel like I can go on about this forever. These are really good verses. There's one I wanted to say. Okay. So, if you're not following what I'm trying to say here, because I'm jumping around a little bit, what we have, my hair, it's messed up. Okay. All right. Now I can talk. What we have is this idea that men were created to bear fruit, right? That's our deal. We're plants, we're trees. We're supposed to be strong trees that bear good fruit. I keep making connections as I'm talking. I'll bring it up. I'll bring this up in a second. Something I just thought of. But we're supposed to be providing useful things, right? That's the deal with men. But man, how often does that get twisted? We get overworked. We get freaking always feeling underappreciated because we're always working ourselves to the bone, right? We get twisted and used by women because something in us has a soft spot for them, and then they even like to twist that and say, oh, it's because you just want sex and you're a bunch of animals. And so then our image of ourselves is like, oh, we're just a bunch of animals, and then we give in and we give them more things because I'm just a savage animal, right? There's nothing good in me. Do you think that the Spirit of God would speak that into you? Do you think that He would speak uselessness and evil into you? No, dude. It's not the Spirit of God, right? You're not producing good fruit because you're allowing the spirit of evil to come in and ruin your field, right? Yeah, and so listen. Here's the hope: anyone who has the Spirit of God in them, they will not be destroyed by that. Man, you might go through a period, and I do too. I'm not saying, I always have perfect self-confidence. I never mess up. No. Okay, this is the reason I'm talking about this, because it's such an oppressive force if you're not grounded in the truth. You can't be deceived. I've been deceived so many times about so many things because I wasn't listening to God above everything else. And that's the root of the problem. That's really what I'm talking about now. Is that for anyone like me, who you're just like, you're a good man and you want to give good things, but you find yourself being taken advantage of by those who are deceived, is because your grounding in the truth is not where it should be. And the good news is that there is a simple solution to that. One simple trick. Deceivers hate it, right? The truth is right here, man. When was the last time you were in your Bible? When was the last time you reminded yourself? If you're like me, you grew up in a Christian school and going to church and stuff, and you kind of, for a while, you kind of think, well, I know what the Bible says. But then you don't read it for 10 years, and you freaking forget. Man, we need to be reminded more often than we need to be taught. That's something to remember too. And for the folks, for the men who feel the sort of emptiness and that evil spirit growing inside of them, and maybe you're angry because you've been overused, or because your woman that you love is sleeping with 10 men, and you're just supposed to be okay with it. Guess what? You're not supposed to be okay with it. We're supposed to be giving the women and children around us good things. We're supposed to be blessing them with what is good. And sometimes that means saying no to them. And right now it probably means saying no to them a lot. Would you give a child anything he asks for if it wasn't good? Would you give them something that would destroy them if they were your child? No. Would you be a good parent for doing that? Absolutely not. You'd be neglectful, and in the end they would not be grateful for what you did when they grow up enough to understand that it was actually to their destruction that you said yes to them. So, what do we do? What is the truth? What's the answer to all this? Tony, you're calling us everybody out, but you're not providing any solutions. Okay. Yeah. The solution is this. The fruit that you're made to provide, as a byproduct, blesses the women and children around you. Because they're going to take it either way, whether it's good or it's bad. You're going to produce something for the people around you. But you were made to provide that, not for them, but for God. And for God's glory. He created you and said, be fruitful and multiply, so that I can sit here and watch and think, man, what I've done here, this is good. He looked upon all he created, and it was good, and he rested, right? So, if you know that, and you have a book full of things that tell you what is good in God's eyes, all of a sudden, you know the way to the truth. So it's not complicated. It's not something you have to be some kind of crazy academic or study. You should study the Bible. I want you to study the Bible. But it's not something that you have to have a degree in theology about so that you can understand. It says in Isaiah, I believe, ask what the good way is and it will be shown to you. You will hear a voice telling you go to the left or go to the right. God is always with us, right? You simply need to remember that your purpose is for God, and if you make your purpose any person, whether it's your children, or your wife, or your boss, or the respect of other men, or just a general feeling of wanting to feel useful to society, if you make any of that your purpose, you will be taken advantage of. The only perfect relationship that will give you everything you need as you pursue pleasing them is God Himself. Yeah. So yeah, hey, that's kind of a heavy idea, right? So I'm gonna pause on that one for a second. This is meant to be taken deep, deep, deep into your soul, into your heart. Okay? You will always find at the end of the road of other people disappointment. Disappointment. None of them can give you what your soul needs, what your soul desires. Only God Himself can give you that. And I happen to know that God, the true God, is also called Jesus Christ, because that's where my road has taken me. But you don't have to understand that to understand what I'm saying now, which is that at the end of the road of other people, the only thing you'll ever find is disappointment. It doesn't matter which road you take. And sometimes people have to take 100 roads before they finally realize that. Or sometimes somebody will come along and just say, hey, this is what it is, and it will speak truth to somebody. It will hit them in a way where they hear it. Hopefully there's somebody who can hear that now. So that was a lot of ideas, that was a lot of stuff, that was a lot of verses. And I spoke to a couple groups. I spoke to men, I spoke to women, I spoke to those who are in the church and out of it, those who are followers of God but they're confused, and people who are not followers of God, and maybe they don't know and they don't understand. Homework for you guys: read Matthew 13 if you want to understand this a little deeper. Read the whole thing, not just the part I read. The part that's a parable of the seeds. And you guys can ask me questions too. Ask me questions on here. Go on my written posts and ask me questions. And we'll talk about it. John 12:24. Here, I have it pulled up right here. Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Luke 3:8. Bear fruits in keeping with repentance, and do not begin to say to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father. For I tell you, God is able from these stones to raise up children for Abraham. Our Father is God. It's the Spirit of God living in us, right? We're His sons. We are those people through whom His Spirit makes itself manifest. Because we're sons. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Your flesh dies. Your father is not whoever your father on earth is. Your father is God in heaven. Right? So the attachment to this world has to die. You have to say no. You have to be okay with going through disappointing everyone you've ever met. Because you tell them no to some things they want to hear a yes to. But in the end, I think this is in Proverbs, he who rebukes gains more favor than the person who says yes to everything. I'll look it up. I'll put that one in the description. Alright, bye.